So, Lucy, welcome to the Mills and Reeve Halftime Equaliser, where we shine a spotlight on women's sport and talk to the key stakeholders and influencers in the game. And I can't really think of anyone more influential than the best FIFA Women's Player of the Year, Lucy Bronze. Welcome.
Thanks.
How does that sound?
Yeah, I've still not got used to it. It's been like that for 8 months now or something, and it's my toes curl a little bit still hearing it.
Oh God, it's amazing. It's an amazing accolade. I just think, you've pretty much won anything that could be won at a club level, domestically, internationally, obviously at a personal level. You won so many awards. Are there any that particularly stand out for any particular reasons?
I think obviously being named the best player in the world is almost like a surreal kind of achievement that I don't think I ever thought was really possible. I always strive to be the best that I can be, but to have won it was kind of mind-blowing. And I think winning, every trophy that I've won's been special for some reason or other. Obviously people will talk about Champions League medals because that's the pinnacle, the highest achievement in women's football domestically, and they were pretty special. And everybody knows that's the trophy I always spoke about. I wanted to win, and then I went and won it. So that one's kind of special because I put a lot of pressure on myself to achieve it.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Is there? Well, I guess where do you even put your trophies and your medals?
I'm actually this is actually a problem that I'm going through at the minute because I've just moved into a new house. So I moved them all in, and it was funny because some of the builders were helping us move, and they were like, "What are these?" I was like, "These are my trophies," but some of the trophies might be the size of potentially maybe a 30-centimeter ruler, and the boxes that they come in are a meter by a meter. And he's like, "What's in here? It's so heavy." And I'm like, "That's a trophy." And he's like, "Where are you going to put it? Where are you going to put it?" I'm like, "In the cupboard." I don't know.
Have you not got a trophy room in your new house?
Well, I've kind of decided to change. Kind of got a pool table and a pool room, and I think that's the thing that footballers do is hang their trophies up. So I'm gonna have to get on that trend and become the stereotypical footballer that puts all my trophies on show for everyone. So maybe, but I'll have to decide. It won't be all of them. I know that. Maybe a couple of shirts or something.
Oh, fantastic. I'd be wearing my medals every day as well, just for show. So, when you started playing, what age were you when you actually started playing football then?
I think my mum's said as soon as I could walk, I was kicking the ball at the same time. I've literally, my brother's, he's just almost 2 years older than me, and I copied everything he did. So he was kicking a ball at the age of 4 or 5, and I was right behind him trying to kick the ball as well. I was the same with everything, riding a bike. My mum was like, "You refuse to ride your bike with stabilizers because your big brother didn't have them." So you was like, "What are these? You don't need, my brother doesn't have stabilizers, so why do I need them?" And she was like, "You were riding your bike at 3 years old, kicking a football." Yeah, I was just a crazy little kid that copied my big brother.
Is this where the competitive streak started then, do you think? So when you were, I suppose then you started playing for a boys' team, did you, as things sort of progressed until you were 12, was it?
Yeah, just the local team just down the road. My brother played for the same team. We played together. I always say I'm so lucky. My brother was so competitive. He would we'd beat each other up, and he wouldn't let me play on the PlayStation and all that stuff. But how actually lucky I was that my big brother let me play on his team, even though I was better than him. Mind blowing. So I was very, very lucky in that respect, that I probably didn't realize when I was younger, because he was quite mean to me and harsh on me, like your big brother is. But actually, he really did care about me because he let me play in his team, and he was like, "Yeah, my sister's on my team." And I played with the boys down the road. Until I was 12. I would have played with them forever if I could have.
Yeah. And do you think was there no sort of girls team at the time, or you actually just preferred to play with the boys anyway?
It was both. I mean, there was no girls team. I hadn't even met another girl who played football until I turned 12. And one of my best friends now moved to where I lived, who also has played for England and also called Lucy. Happy coincidence. But I think I think because I've always got on with my brother really well, I always just got on with the boys at school. And I don't know whether that was just football anyway, or I was so competitive that I loved sport and I loved winning.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really like the thing that little girls did. But I was super, super competitive. So I always got on better with boys or competitive girls. They were always my friends at school.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think even if it was a girls' team, I think I would have stayed with the boys because they were my mates and we climbed trees together and stuff as well.
Yeah. And did you find any? Did you get any sort of challenges from the other teams or from anyone else that you were playing with or against that you weren't allowed on the lads' team?
Again, I think I was lucky that my teammates were all my friends. Like because I was good. Like they were like, yeah, we want Lucy. We don't care if she's a girl, boy, like big, small, whatever. Get her on the team because she's good and we'll win. It was that simple. And I went to school with all these boys and yeah, everything was fine. The only time I had one incident was at a team against, but my auntie absolutely loves this story. Like my auntie was in the police force, like she fought feminism in the police force and everything like this. And she actually was the one who took me to this game, which normally she didn't used to take me. It would be my mum or my dad. She took me to this game and there was a little boy beforehand on the other team who was laughing. He was like, haha, like they've got a little girl on their team. Haha, that's so embarrassing, like laughing. And my auntie was like, you weren't even phased, like you didn't cry, you didn't acknowledge him, you just kind of was like, oh, whatever, and carried on. And then in this game, I'm like rough and tough, like I always have been, always will be, was on this day, had no like care for who I was playing against, gone into this tackle and just lifted this boy in the air, not knowing who it was. Coincidentally, it happened to be this boy that made fun of me at the beginning. Lifted him in the air, got up, carried on playing, and he was on the floor crying because he'd hurt himself in the tackle. And man, he was like, serves him right. Shouldn't speak to my little niece like that. But I honestly, I like tell the story, and I'm not like spiteful. Like I didn't go after him. Like it was such a coincidence. And man, it was like, that's the best moment of your career ever.
Career highlight. But and you weren't phased by it at all. Then you basically just didn't have any issues with it. Just cracked on and played the game as per and clearly impressed on him how good you were. Fantastic. So what were your aspirations at that age? Where did you think you could get to? What was your knowledge of kind of the women's game, and did you think you'd be able to make a career out of it? Never mind win what you've won in your career so far.
Yeah, I mean, at that age when I was playing with the boys, my aspirations, I didn't have any. Like, I don't think I had like these dreams of playing for England or playing the Champions League. I did watch football, but I just loved football. But I didn't really differentiate the fact that I was a girl and that I didn't see the girls on the telly. It was only when I was 12 and the rule was, oh, you can't play with the boys team anymore. And then I was like, actually, I've never seen, like, does this exist? Do I just stop playing? Like, what's happening now? And again, like, my auntie's bad and my mum is as well. The pair of them were like, nobody tells my little girl what she can and can't do just because she's a girl. And yeah, like no one in my family was really into football. So my mum really tried her best to give me like some exposure to women's football. Like I said, I didn't really know it existed. And then as soon as I kind of caught onto these names, my mum were like, oh, have you seen there's the England women's team and there's Rachel Yankee and Kelly Smith and all these amazing players and they play for England and they play in World Cups and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I want to play for England. And I think it was only when I realised that it was something I wanted to do it, but it never crossed my mind that it was going to be my job, like my career. My mum's a maths teacher, so she was very adamant that education was important, and I was as well. I mean, I loved going to school. I love learning. I absolutely loved maths. I actually, when I was younger, my dream, I used to say when I was really little, oh, I want to be a footballer when I grow up. And then as I got older, I said, oh, I want to be an accountant when I grow up. When I was like 8 years old, just because I loved maths so much.
Oh, God. Well, I'm
Yeah.
really glad. I mean, accountancy loss, the accountancy firm's loss is definitely
I
football
think
gain.
I was being about 7 years old, and I said to my mum, like, what's a job that uses a lot of maths? And I think she said accountant. So I went through a phase of saying I want to be an accountant when I grow up, just because I absolutely love maths. Next to football, maths was the only other thing that I really understood in my life, was just numbers. I was obsessed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my mum was really good at giving me these different roles that I could do. She showed me women's football and accountancy.
Always good to have that fallback in case the football career didn't proceed as you would hope. And obviously you then went off to kind of college in the States as well, didn't you? And you've been to uni and all the rest of it. And is that something that you felt you needed to do because of kind of not envisaging that that maybe football would be a full-time career, or was it because you wanted to kind of carry on with your studies?
Yeah, it was like both. I was kind of in the England system, like the youth system, but they'd also told me that I wasn't good enough. Whereas my mum had been like Googling women's football for a while, and had found out America was like the place to be. And I'd been over there on like a soccer camp when I was 12, and the guy there, the coach, who is quite famous in America, was like, when Lucy's 17, bring her over. And so yeah, I got turned down by England, and my mum was like, look, you can carry on your education, you can get yourself a degree, and you're going to have this amazing support where you can play football, which is your dream. So my goal was always to get my degree and probably become a sports scientist or a coach or something to do with sport and football, and kind of do that alongside playing football. That was the plan moving ahead. I ended up coming and finishing my degree in England instead, just because the England national team said they wouldn't pick me because I was living in America. So I kind of went there to make things better, but then it didn't turn out that way. So I just had to make new plans. But again, I still did my studies alongside playing football. I always wanted to get my degree. That was actually at the end of my degree. It was whether I went fully professional and signed for Liverpool, who was one of the most professional teams at the time, or do I keep with my studies and carry on with a master's as well as football? And I think that was the moment where I thought, I'm going for this. I'm going for football, and turned down doing a master's and extending my studies, which I'd love to go back to someday. But I think looking back, I probably made the right decision at the time.
Yeah, I mean, study isn't time critical, is it? You can kind of continue your studies at any point in life, I suppose, can't you? That's fascinating. Because I was thinking, you've had such a coveted career, and it feels like, wherever you go, you're successful. But have there been sort of low points? So, for example, that point of, which you're thinking, is your England career going to really take off or not? And then, how have you dealt with kind of the rejections and the low points in your career?
It's actually interesting because my dad's Portuguese, like born and raised in Portugal. So I got a lot of offers off of Portugal to go and play there for the national team. And I was playing really well in the league in England and winning trophies, winning the league, and I just couldn't get that England call up. That was what I was desperate for. I wanted to be part of this England team, but I also wanted to be part of it whilst the likes of Kelly Smith and Rachel Yankee were still playing. Like, these were my idols, and that I wanted to play with them, just to say that I played with them. So I got to a point where I said to my mum, if I think it was my 22nd birthday, I said, if I don't make the England team by my 22nd birthday, I'm just going to go and play for Portugal because I want to play international football. I'm still half Portuguese and I would still love playing for Portugal. My dream was England, but if that dream's not going to happen, you've got to make a new one. And fortunately enough, I think I got picked for England like 4 months before my 22nd birthday. Yeah. So I'd earmarked it, and I'm thankful now. It would have been great to play for Portugal, but I don't think I would have got the same opportunities as what I've had. And equally, I had, again, a lot of injuries early on in my career, around the age of 18, 19, 20. And people always ask, oh, like, how did you deal with that? It must have been so hard. But being injured for 2 years was the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because all my friends went ahead of me. My teammates got picked for England. They played for England. They were doing really well. They were playing really well. And I always felt like I was behind, always. And even to the point that I must have felt that way for about 6 years. And in them 6 years, I actually became then the best player in the world by the end of it, because I'd been so focused on the fact that I'd missed out. I need to catch up. I need to do more. I need to work harder. I need to try harder. I'm still missing out. I still need to do more. I need to push myself. And I did it for that long and had my mindset like that for so long that one day I was like, what? I've caught up with them. I caught up with them a long time ago, but hadn't really sat down to really process the fact that I actually had done that. And I'd gotten so far ahead of myself that I was now at the top of the game. And I was like, the injury, although I have problems with it still to this day, and I cope with having a really hard knee to deal with my entire career. It's been the best motivation I've ever had, I think.
Yeah, no, and as well, I suppose it's feeling like you've always got to have something driving you on and spurring you on, isn't it? And I suppose when you've achieved the things that you're setting out to achieve, then what do you set your sights on now? Now you are literally the pinnacle of the game. What is next for you?
Well, I think there's always more trophies to be won. I think I'm so terrible at just living in the moment. I think that was when I won the best player in the world. I was finally like, this is the one trophy that I'm actually gonna celebrate, because I think COVID it was in the midst of COVID. At least I was going to say it had just happened, but it still is happening. But it was in the midst of the world being in lockdown and everything like this. And I'd previously in the year, the league had stopped, football had stopped, the world had stopped. And then this was like the first trophy that I'd kind of gotten sent. And I was like, this is the first trophy I'm actually going to celebrate, because I'm always so focused on, I'm like, put it in the cupboard, next one, put it in the cupboard, next one. And then I think COVID was like, well, you need to realize how good you got it, not just like in football, but in life. I think that was literally the only trophy that I've actually thought, I'm so excited, this is amazing, I've got this trophy. Whereas every other one literally just got shoved straight in the cupboard.
Well, when I saw your acceptance video, I did think, oh gosh, like, if only you could be having a party there. But we were like in the middle of like national lockdown, weren't we? And you were there on your video camera. And I'm like,
I think if there was a party though, I don't think I would have partied, because I would have been like, right, the next thing. I think it made me just appreciate the moment, because I have won a lot, and I don't think I have sat down and I don't think I've even said that I have won a lot. But there is always more to do, and I think my biggest thing is, I'm towards the latter stages of my career, though I don't wish to admit that.
The peak of your career.
The peak. I think a few people not like when I say that. But yeah, I think internationally, I want England to do well. I want to be part of that. I have no shame in saying that. I want to be on that team that wants to win, that wants to change everything. I think that's the one thing that I know that I need to do before I can even think about my career coming to an end. Is I've done loads, and and I've won loads for myself and for the teams that I've played for, but there's no better team that I want to win something for than, the national team.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. So if you could talk to your, say, 16-year-old self, what thing would you say to them, either about life or your career, that you wish you'd known then?
I guess I'd say, like, it's going to be worth it, and don't take too much notice of other people's opinions. Not that I ever did, but I think that happens a lot. I think especially now that the game's getting so big and it's growing, there's a lot of voices coming, whether it's pundits or coaches or other players or fans. Like, there's thousands of fans now who have their say on what you're doing. And I think it's just don't change who you are and just stay true to yourself. That's 100% one thing that I would say to anybody in sport, in women's football in general.
Yeah. Have the belief in yourself as well. It's just, innately, whatever other people say, I imagine you've just got to, believe in yourself, believe that you can do it. Yeah. So if we obviously we talked about you, but in terms of like the women's game generally, I know you've said kind of after your career, which is going to be ages away, you'd like to maybe work inside a federation or a confederation like UEFA and sort of steer the future of the women's game. So how would you like to see the women's game panning out in the next 5 to 10 years?
I just, like, it's very broad to say I want it to be bigger, but I think you can only affect what you can affect. I think as a player, I need to make the game better on the pitch so that more fans want to watch it, so that we fill stadiums, so that we get more sponsors, and it's kind of that wheel of motion of everybody can have their effect on it. I think that's part of the reason why when I finish I still want to be in it, to keep pushing that. I think women's football, I don't think we can really put a ceiling on it, because you look at football in general in the world, it's a huge part of people's lives and livelihoods in general. I think we saw that through COVID when they put the Premier League back on, and it gave a lift to people in the world. I'd love to women's football be on that stage where it's life-changing for people, not just the players, but the people who support and watch it, and just grow it. I think it's just, it's hard to imagine what it could be, because 10 years ago I couldn't imagine it being where it is today. It's moving that fast, but equally, it's in such a good place, but we could be in such a better place, an even bigger, better game for all the women involved in football.
Yeah. And also, I guess, for you are the icon, you are the people, the role model that the young girls are going to be looking up to then be the footballers of the future as well. And you kind of think, you didn't necessarily have that awareness when you were younger of the women's game. Now I think there is way more awareness, isn't there? There's so much more at a grassroots level as well. And so you kind of think, well, the pyramid is pretty strong, isn't it, in terms of the foundations for the future of the game as well. And that's got to be a positive as well, I'd hope.
Yeah, the way everything's grown, from up top to bottom to up, either way you look at it.
Yeah.
There's people working hard every day to make sure that those structures, whether it's the league, the grassroots, the national team, those things are set in place to be successful and sustainable. But like I said, each person within their field of work, I suppose, have their part to play and making it even better if everyone keeps, I guess everyone has that mentality of, I need to catch up, need to be better and bigger. If we all had that mentality, it would grow even better. But we know that it's in a good place to do that. That's why I think it's so possible for it to go bigger and better, because we have all these foundations, whether it's clubs, individuals, coaches. There's so much good work going on at the minute. We just need to do even more and even better. And why not? That's what you want to do in any workplace and any job. So why not do it in women's football as well?
No, absolutely. That's such a positive message. So just to finish up, we're going to do like a quick fire round of questions, just some kind of light-hearted questions. One might be from my son, who's 3 years old. So, any pre-match ritual or superstition?
I've got a really long answer for this, but I actually don't, because I always think if I have a superstition or a ritual that for some reason I can't do it or it's not possible, am I then going to be thinking, oh my God, I've not done this, I'm going to have a bad game? But the game's not even kicked off. The only thing I would say is that I do like cut my socks, but that's just for a comfort thing. But if I didn't have to cut them, it wouldn't bother me.
What, as in the top of your socks?
Yeah, like I just prefer wearing my own socks. So I wear my own socks and I cut the bottoms off of the team socks and put the team socks on top so that it looks like you're wearing the team socks. But rituals and stuff, I'd say I'm quite laid back and try to just enjoy myself. I play with some players who have some, they have to tape the left finger first and then the index and then this toe, and then they have to fold their shirt backwards, and I'm like, whoa, I don't want to get in the way of that. Like, it's a lot.
I mean, we're all about the sort of superstitious underpants in our house, so it's whatever goes, really, isn't it?
There's a few of them, and I'm like, I think you need to change them because it's been a while.
So some kind of, I'd say, like, probably quick fire ones. So I'm guessing holiday, sun or snow?
Sun.
Horror or rom-com?
Rom-com.
What would, if you were on death row, obviously hypothetically, what would your last meal be?
I hate this question because I love food. I'm going to go for a Portuguese dish. It's called conquilhas. It's basically like cockles. It's like a shellfish, but just it's so good in Portugal. It's like oil and loads of salt and garlic and thick crusty bread. It's so good.
You're making me feel hungry.
I love
it. Dress up or dress down?
Dress down.
I'm all about the elasticated wristbands.
All about it.
Yeah. Song to get you dancing. What would get you on the dance floor?
Anything, to be fair. Bit of Beyonce, probably.
I mean, the thought of ever dancing again on a dance floor feels really just weird.
Yeah.
Let's hope that one day we'll be dancing again soon. Right. One from Charlie. What is your favourite dinosaur?
Oh. The T-Rex is like the obvious one, isn't it? It's like the most common.
I mean, his favourite's the Triceratops. I'm just going to.
I was going to say, I've just forgotten the name of it now. Yeah, we'll go with T-Rex. It's the scary one, intimidating one.
He'd also be impressed with that, thanks. And then finally, if you could invite any 3 people, living or dead, to a dinner party, who would they be?
Oh, the Queen. I feel like that's quite a standard one, but she like intrigues me.
Yeah.
Like the stories she must have. Only if she's like telling me all the stories that are going on, that would be like incredible.
You'd have to give her a few glasses of wine, maybe, for that. Yeah.
No problem. I've lived in France, I know my wines now. The Queen. I would like a footballer like Ronaldo or something, or Messi. Even though this is not really going to be a good mixed match of people to chat to, it's just who I want to individually conversate with. And who else? Do you know what? Actually, I'll bring Ronaldo and I'll bring the Queen, and then I'll bring my mum with me. Yeah, because she'd keep the conversation going, and she's fluent in Portuguese.
Perfect.
As well as obviously English, so she can come along as well.
I think that'd be a lovely dinner party. I bet your mum would enjoy it as well.
No, she would absolutely love it.
Oh, bless. It's been an absolute pleasure, Lucy. Really appreciate it. And best of luck, with the forthcoming summer. Have some time off.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank you.